His Highness, the seventh prince, didn't allow it to happen so easily. Chinyu was taken to the palace, made a eunuch, and then sent into slavery. Johann couldn't understand how the first genius of the Lin family became a eunuch and fell into slavery, which was a great shame for the Lin family. However, Jun still didn't understand why the head of the Lin family allowed the engagement of the seventh prince and his daughter after all the humiliations the family had suffered. Considering the talent of the seventh prince, he would definitely become the heir to the throne, and if the Lin family wanted to establish a foothold in Yunyu County, they should restore their relationship with the seventh prince and commit to something like that was the best option, given that the first family of geniuses had become a servant of the seventh prince. The relationship between the Ling family and the seventh prince is not entirely friendly. Maybe Lin Chenyu contributed to this engagement, but these are just Johann's assumptions. Now, he's going to bed, and Yun should return as soon as possible. The opening of the Divine Battle Seal had actually changed everything for the ninth prince. If Mother Lin knew, she would be very happy. Strength in the modern world won't be simple for anyone. You won't achieve anything in this life. Johann is convinced that he can't waste time. He needs to open the third meridian tonight to reach the center of the Yellow Realm. The Sutra of the Nine Divine Emperors can cultivate 36 meridians. In his past life, Johann cultivated 33 meridians and was almost invulnerable among his peers. Now, in the world, even the strongest only have 31 meridians. If Zhen wants to reach the final stage of the Yellow Realm, he needs to open 3 more meridians. He trained all the time and put all his effort into it, almost succeeding. He managed to open the third meridian. To continue his journey to the final stage of the Yellow Realm, he needed a complete supply of K. He needed K accumulation pills to restore his K supply. He took a K pill and ate it to restore his resources. He had only opened 70% of the meridian, but the pill couldn't fully restore his resource reserve. It was a good thing that he still had some silver coins. If he could improve his cultivation soon, it would be worth spending some money on it. But that's not enough, he still needs a body purification bath to strengthen his body, otherwise, he won't be able to make better use of true Kyber. Hours passed, and Johann got into the bathtub. The body cleansing powder was so strong that his skin and flesh seemed to change shape. But he understood one very important thing: only by passing all the tests was it possible to become a man. The time and space stone gave him 3 times more training time, which was his unique advantage. Only 9 days had passed in the real world, but a whole month in the spirit stone, and he had reached a complete reserve of true K in the Yellow Realm. It was a real miracle. After washing his body with a bath, Johann continued his training. His last sweats were coming out of him. Medicinal baths are really effective, and body hardening also plays a significant role in his improvement. Today, Dzogchen will be able to prepare for the final stage of the Yellow Realm. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door and said they had completed the assigned task. Johann opened the door, and Yun stood there happily. She told him that she had bought all the jewelry that Mother Lin had left behind. Johann was satisfied and said that if his mother decided to pawn her jewelry again in the future, Yun could buy them back without worry. But Jun suggested that he tell his mother the whole truth. If she finds out that he has become a true martial artist, she will be very happy. Johann said he wanted to surprise her at the end of the annual test. Besides, his current level was not high enough, he needed to become stronger. He also asked the concubine to make sure that no one disturbed him today. She replied that she would guard the door and stop anyone who tried to interfere with the ninth prince's training, even at the cost of her life. She added that she believed in Johann, he would succeed. The opening of the 4th and 5th meridian was very successful, but the 6th one was still lacking. It had to be attempted, and why not try it? Dzogchen took another K restoration pill, and after that, he felt a great surge of strength. And here it is, the long-awaited goal has been achieved, a breakthrough to the final stage of the Yellow Realm. He went out and saw concubine June protecting him to ensure that no one bothered Johann. While he was training, she asked, surprised, if he had managed to do everything he had planned. Johann approached the concubine, looked up at the sky, and exhaled calmly like a mobile elephant and wild dragon. Johann began to demonstrate the techniques he had learned, the spiritual dragon and elephant palm, then he showed the reception of the other palm, followed by a dragon flying in the sky that could crush everything in its path. Zen was pleased with his achievement and began to understand that he was no longer that sickly child. June observed all this and admired Johann's martial skills. She told him that he had finally succeeded, even saying that he had even more talent in martial arts than His Majesty the Seventh Prince. King Swan-Yard is one of the top 3 shops in the city of Dan. Zen advises everyone to visit this store and see if they can find anything there. An elderly man approached Dun and offered to sell K accumulation pills. Jen was surprised by how he approached him so imperceptibly. He introduced himself as Moan Lin, the owner of this store. Zoc asked for 50K accumulation pills and 30 body purification pills but wasn't sure if King Swan Pavilion would have all the stock. Moan was very surprised because an ordinary martial artist could not easily afford K accumulation pills and body purification pills, especially such a large quantity. It was really rare. The merchant replied that if Master Chen were in another store, maybe he wouldn't have been able to buy so many pills. But his store in King Swan Pavilion had enough to satisfy all of Master Chen's desires. Moan brought everything Johann requested, and after calculating the total amount of the purchase, he announced that it would cost 80,000 silver coins. The seller added that since Master Chen was buying such a large batch of products, he would be happy to offer him a discount. The total amount with the discount would be 72,000 silver coins. Johann paid for the purchase and said he would now only buy pills from this store. Moan Lin smiled and asked if he needed anything else. Johann replied that he needed something else, but it's possible that this store doesn't have that product. The seller immediately understood that he needed a marvelous weapon. Johann wondered how he guessed so easily. They have several pavilions that sell weapons, this child would lead Johann there. His name is Zui. Moan also asked his assistant to take the owner to the woman and tell her that they value this customer very much and should give him a discount. But his assistant said in fear that he wouldn't go with her because she is capable of taking a man's soul with just one look. If she sees him, he will be finished. Moan said that as he was still a young child, and if he refused, he might take 0K accumulation pills from here this month. The assistant got scared and agreed to guide Master Chen. They said goodbye to Master Mo, who, in turn, said he would wait for him again. Zoc asked the assistant if this woman was really so beautiful that she could take a man's soul. The man on the street said it was true, this demon woman could cause a heart attack with just one glance. She was engaged to 7 bosses, and all 7 died on their wedding night, and she took all their property. Even the head of Zui had worked for her recently. They approached the City of Arms. The security guard said he had sent someone to this woman to provide information and ask her to wait a bit. The woman asked how they had presented the buyer, perhaps Moan Ling or the head of the family was the owner of King Swan Pavilion. Kinya said she was a little tired, so she would finish work for today. The assistant replied that he was just an ordinary teenager, about 16 or 17 years old. Kinjin King already liked him a lot, her tiredness disappeared suddenly, and she told him to go to the inner hallway. He went to the central hall and waited for King Xian Kinya to enter. She asked if she had made a mistake in saying that he was a dear guest, the young Master Chen of Kingan Pavilion. She asked what kind of weapon he would like to buy. He must already have an idea. Fortunately, his mental strength is quite high, so it's not so easy to seduce him. Johann said that he needed a sword at the level of a true battle treasure. Now he understood why Moan Ling wanted to meet him in person. It was astounding that a teenager had such strong mental power. The woman told Johann that, as he was an important guest of King Swan Pavilion, she would personally take him to the armory and show him all the weapons they had in stock. They went to the armory together. Zui was still nervous because more than one man who entered the armory alone with the chief's wife did not return alive. He was worried that Lord Chekano might also have bad luck. Common people use common weapons, and only a martial artist can unlock the full potential of a true martial weapon, depending on the materials used in its making and the number of letters on the weapon. A true martial treasure can be divided into 9 classes, with the first being the lowest and the 9th the highest. The owner offered Zen to choose any sword he liked and encouraged him to ask any questions he had. Johann thanked her and was amazed by what he saw. The 9th prince spotted the sword he wanted. It was called De Pabis. This sword was very ancient, with a history of nearly 1,000 years. It was extremely heavy and sharp, and its material was also very special. However, another expert couldn't determine what it was made of. If this sword had not been damaged, it would have been a true battle treasure of at least the 7th rank, or even higher. But all the inscriptions on the blade were broken. If the young master wanted to buy it, she was willing to sell it for the price of a first-order true treasure. Johann asked how much it would cost, and the owner replied that it would be 1,000 silver coins. He responded that he was buying the same sword that Silo had given him 800 years ago. When a person dies with their sword, the same thing happens, and as they had to be reborn, the sword was also reborn from a profound abyss. Johann would entrust the sword to purify its life and reappear in all its splendor. The woman wondered how it was possible for the sword to look better than her. She approached Johann, hugged him, and asked if he was only going to buy this broken sword or if he could buy something else. King Xian Qinya whispered in Johann's ear, "Perhaps you're interested in something more besides the sword?" She asked, trembling, how much that real battle artifact cost. This sword that shines with the soul is the 4th level of a real battle weapon. It has 14 blades on its blade, 4 of them are power blades, 4 are ice power blades, 4 are electric power blades, and 2 are light blades with 3 attributes, ice, electricity, and light. She replied that it was worth 30,000 silver coins. Johann realized that he couldn't stay alone with this woman any longer. It was quite dangerous, and he was worried about not lasting. He quickly made a calculation, took his swords, and escaped from there. The woman said that he runs fast but can't escape from her. She suggested that the future would be very entertaining. Someone served tea and told the 8th prince to indulge himself. His mother and the master of the Red Sky are from the same family, so he will also call this girl sister. This was her first visit to the royal city, so he takes care of her. This is the largest martial arts store in the entire city. She asked what exactly the girl was interested in. The girl thanked the 8th prince and introduced herself as Yangling. She came to this city to meet talented and outstanding people, especially the 7th and 8th princes. The 8th prince mentioned that it was unfortunate that the 7th prince was currently out of the realm and wouldn't participate in the annual evaluation. However, he suggested that he might return to see the ceremony and offered to reserve a seat for her at the ceremony if she wanted. Xianglin thanked the 8th prince once again. The 8th prince noticed the weapons of his 9th brother in the store and wondered why they were there, as he hadn't even trained properly yet. He also bought weapons. He was curious about where he got the money. The 8th brother hoped that Johann wasn't trying to pass himself off as a handsome guy for the sake of the owner of King Swan Pavilion. The owner of the pavilion warned Johann that if he did anything embarrassing, she would break his legs. She emphasized that it was her store, not the royal palace, and if she hit him, the 8th prince would have to intervene. The 8th prince was puzzled about why the 9th prince was disgracing the royal family. The 7th prince was the prince of the entire world, and the 9th prince had become the plaything of a woman willingly. Johann didn't understand why both of them were looking at him so strangely. He quickly left the store. The owner shouted at him to come and see her from time to time. She would take care of him, and if he needed additional resources, he shouldn't be shy and should come to his landlady. Over the past 800 years, many things had changed, and things had become different. Now, the ancient sword no longer possessed its old sharpness. To restore the blades and the power of the sword itself, it would be necessary to take it to a blacksmith of at least the 5th level. But was there such a blacksmith in the county of Yunu? Even if this sword turned into a pile of scrap, Johann should take it as a reminder that he had become stronger so he could take revenge on Silo. He also felt very curious about the effect of the other sword purchased at the municipal pavilion. The power blades activated, and the soul blow sword became almost 50 kilograms heavier. It was very heavy, and Johann couldn't control it. But if he learned to summon the 4 power blades and use them skillfully, then his power would be unimaginably great. He had a problem: he couldn't activate the second blade because he had very little true K. He needed to use other attributes of the blades first. He managed to activate the ice layers, then the electricity layers, and even the light layers. The 30,000 silver coins were not wasted. He should hurry with his training and activate all 14 letters as soon as possible. That way, he could maximize the potential of the 4th level true battle weapon. 2,000 years passed. In the Jade Palace, the 8th prince continued to train and improve. Finally, he reached the small stage of the Yellow region. His mother, Lady Xiao, said that even now, his cultivation couldn't be compared to the level of other princes. When his father sees his progress, he will definitely reward him. The 8th prince said that anyway, some had already hit rock bottom. His presence made him look even better. His mother realized he was talking about the 9th prince who had just received his sacred mark. Maybe he didn't even have the level of cerebral cortex cleanliness and pulse, so he most likely wouldn't participate in the annual evaluation. The 8th prince said it wasn't up to him to decide whether to participate in the annual evaluation or not. Everyone came to the Lin family martial arts arena. The daughter of the Lin family continued training and practiced the heart control sword technique. She finally succeeded. Her family stood up and rejoiced that she was the daughter of the heavenly family itself. Her family was in good hands. Her father said that her talent in the art of the sword amazed him. He had never seen such a strange talent in anyone. In less than 3 months, she had mastered the spiritual level of the sword technique. She would be the brightest star in the world in the upcoming annual competition. She replied that it was thanks to her long cultivation of the sword that guided the heart that she could learn this technique so quickly. There were only 10 young geniuses in the city who had achieved the level of the heart-guiding sword at the age of 20, and she was only 15 years old. She had limitless potential, so let her train more and reach the highest heights. Her father agreed and continued training. At the same time, Johann was training in the palace. He mentioned that he had been cultivating in the spirit stone space for almost 6 months. His reserves were full, and his physical characteristics had reached their limit. Although he was still not at the level of metamorphosis, it was time to start mastering the small stage of the Yellow region. Now, he was physically much weaker than in his past life, but after such a long time, he could easily open the 11th meridian in the small stage of the Yellow region. He took a sip of the restorative liquid. Johann felt a great surge of strength. He finally reached the small stage of the Yellow region. It was necessary to check what he was capable of now because he didn't know how strong he had become. Several days passed, and Johann ventured into the mountains of the royal palace. He tested the barbarian elephant galloping technique, which required channeling all his strength into his hands. It wasn't bad, and the explosive power of this hand was equivalent to the power of 8 bulls. He needed to try the sword technique again. His current supply of true K was almost enough to activate 2 blades at the same time. First, he activated the power and heart control card of Naze. He performed a sky strike reception that sucked the heart. He managed to do this trick very well. This technique could only be performed when the sword followed your heart. It seemed that Johann was already close to the heart area of the sword. If this technique was performed on people, their eyes would rise to their foreheads in surprise. He wanted to try something else, a defensive sword technique. He tried the heart sound sword technique. This technique was enough to defend against the entire arsenal of a Yellow region martial artist. To perfect these techniques, it was necessary to practice here before the annual evaluation. The next day, Johann went out to the palace courtyard and met concubine Yun. He asked if there was an evaluation today, and she said yes. She warned him to be careful as there were rumors that the 8th prince had broken through to the small stage of the Yellow region and would definitely target Johann. Zuin had discovered the secret of concubine Yun. In fact, she had also reached the small stage of the Yellow region, but until now, she had only discovered 11 meridians, so she still had a lot of work to do. But there was very little time left. She was surprised because only true geniuses could open all 8 meridians of the small stage of the yellow region. Even the 7th prince had only opened 10 meridians, and it was enough for him to achieve true glory. She would help the 9th prince keep the secret, but she warned him to be very careful. Johann reassured her and said he would be careful. June told Johann that she would help him put on royal clothes, and then he could go to the real martial arts field in the Royal Mountain. Johann asked if his mother would see the annual evaluation. June said yes, but she didn't know that Johann would also participate in the annual evaluation. She would be very happy to see Johann become a martial artist. June congratulated Johann, saying he was more of a prince than any other prince. Johann recovered, went out to the courtyard, and told June that he was heading to the real battlefield.